Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this very exciting town hall webinar. My name is Jay Schurter. I am the Communications Senior Manager over here at the Regional Arts Commission, and we just want to welcome the nearly 200 people that joined us today. Thank you so much for being here. Just a reminder, you can answer or ask any questions that you might have during this, and we'll answer them at the end. So you can either put it in the Q&A or you can put it in the chat, and we'll be tracking those and we'll be answering those. And if we don't get to your question, no worries. We are going to answer every question that's asked, and we will post that on our website along with a recording of this webinar as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our CEO and President, the wonderful Vanessa Cooksey. Vanessa?
Thank you, Jay. It is so good to be here. I can hardly believe that it has been since November 3rd when we had our last town hall. Since that time, under the amazing leadership of Commission Chair Cheryl Walker, RAC commissioners and staff have been diligently working to achieve our mission. We will share a more formal 2022 year in review in January, but until then, here are a few highlights of what we've been up to. In February, we kicked off Insight STL, our downtown public art initiative in collaboration with Greater St. Louis Inc. and Via Partnership, and have completed 3 of 5 installations so far. We invested time and money letting St. Louis residents and visitors alike know that St. Louis is an arts town. Maybe you drove by one of our billboards, attended a few of our sponsored events, or saw on the local news us highlighting artists and arts organizations that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. 10 undergraduate college students got hands-on experience in arts administration working at nonprofit arts organizations, thanks to our partners at the Gateway Foundation, who provided grant funding for our Gio Obata Fellowship. After a 2-year hiatus, we were able to award $1.1 million in new grants to artists and arts organizations in every county council district and city ward. We appreciate our friends at Artist First for hosting our announcement event. In August, we launched the Arts and Economic Prosperity at the Sheldon with a keynote address from Americans for the Arts Vice President of Research, Randy Cohen. To date, we have collected over 1,000 surveys from audience members that have attended live arts and culture events across our region. We'll have more information, photos, and videos about all of these events on our website and YouTube channel. So check it out if you missed it. I am so excited to share that we welcome 3 new commissioners, St. Louis County appointee Rudy Nickens and St. Louis City appointees Beverly Isom and Tino Ochoa. Please visit our website to read about the great experience that they bring to the commission. We continue to grow our team and welcome 2 new team members to our grants and marketing departments in September. Lee Winter and Jason Shipkowski both have jumped right in and are making contributions to our vision. Please check out the staff page on our website to read more about their background and see all of the amazing people that are committed to making RAC a best place to work in the region. Since the beginning of the pandemic nearly 3 years ago, RAC has been committed to open and transparent communication, especially about our revenue. As you can see in this chart, we have experienced incremental yet consistent revenue growth beginning in the second half of 2021 and continuing through this year. We are just under half of the 2019 annual revenue total. In April of 2021, Mayor Tashara Jones asked the people of St. Louis to provide recommendations on how to ensure the $517 million in federal American Rescue Plan Act funds could be invested equitably for maximum transformational impact. And our sector went to work. We showed up at community meetings, online and in person. We completed various surveys, and in October of 2021, we sent a sector-wide advocacy letter signed by more than 100 arts leaders to every elected official in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, requesting 5% of the ARPA funds to support our sector's recovery. We attended nearly every county council meeting and Board of Aldermen meeting this year, making the case for support. And guess what? It worked. Mayor Tashara Jones will sign Bill 66 at a press conference on November 1st, allocating $10.6 million of ARPA funds to RAC for artists and arts organizations in St. Louis City. And we are one legislative action away from St. Louis County's passage of Bill number 163, allocating $1.6 million of ARPA funds to RAC as well. These two bills are clear evidence that our best and brightest days are still ahead of us. As a result of our unified and committed effort, more than $12 million will be invested in advancing a full creative life for every St. Louisan. We have so many people to thank for this outcome, and we plan to celebrate this effort in a big way. So stay tuned for your invitation to celebrate with us. Now let's talk about grants. Smith Travel Research and Explore St. Louis forecast continued increases in hotel motel sales tax revenue in 2023. As a result, RAC plans to increase the overall grants budget for the year. We will distribute general operating support, program support, and artist support grants. It is very important to know that once RAC receives the ARPA dollars, we will have an entirely different timeline, application, and review process for ARPA funds that follows the federal guidelines and municipal legislation that governs these funds. Today's conversation is about grants that are funded by RAC's traditional revenue source of hotel motel sales tax. To walk you through our plans for hotel motel sales tax funded grants, please welcome Ann Hobrick, Senior Manager of Grants and Programs. Ann?
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. I guess we're all together. The only thing that would make this better is if we were on a veranda overlooking a large body of water, but we're not. So I'm going to give you the 2023 grant-making update. First of all, we have a more efficient application process, and we hope you will think so too. We will continue to simplify, streamline, and implement applicant-friendly processes through the lens of equity and diversity. At the same time, we are prioritizing efforts to improve the quality of the applications, not just for RAC purposes, but so that applicants have the capacity to leverage diverse revenue streams. We are working diligently to request information in the applications that pertain to our published criteria. We will collect demographic information under separate cover as a part of the process so that we can begin benchmarking for RAC's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. We are not only simplifying our applications, planning for no more than 10 questions, but also streamlining reporting mechanisms. You'll also see more clearly defined evaluation metrics. Your application will be reviewed according to clearly articulated criteria, and all of the questions on the application will relate back to those criteria, which will be the same for both program support and artist support, with responses weighted accordingly during the review process. The new criteria will be outlined more fully in the application guidelines for program and artist support published the week of December the 12th. There are also increased opportunities for technical assistance. To assist you in submitting the best application possible, beginning in January, we will roll out a series of 5 weekly application writing workshops, delving into targeted topics such as building effective budgets, collecting and presenting demographic data, and creating artist statements and organizational narratives. Stay tuned. For general operating support grants, we are maintaining the 2019 grantee cohort. That is a cohort of 40 organizations. As a reminder to those GOS agencies, there is no final report that you need to file, and there is no 2023 application to submit. On December the 31st, we have a general operating support deadline for registration and basic information completion. Soon, GOS organizations will receive instructions on how to register within the grant-making system, which is Blackbaud, along with the information requests for uploads within the system. Basic items such as board list, financials, budget, 2023 artistic activities, etc. From January through March of 2023, there will be one-on-one general operating support review meetings with RAC staff. In lieu of general operating support applications, all GOS organizations will meet with Chloe or me to ensure continued eligibility and alignment with RAC's criteria, as well as to discuss your accomplishments and challenges. Lee Winter, our new grants operations assistant, will contact you soon to schedule a 1-hour appointment at your office, which will take place from January to March. In April of 2023, there will be general operating grant payments. I think I told some of you that it would be June, but it will be April, which we think will be better for everybody. Given our current revenues, we estimate these 1-year general operating support grants will be at 50 to 55% of your 2019 award. Please contact me if you are working on budget scenarios and need planning numbers. Happy to talk with you about that. For the 2023 program and artist support grants, we will publish all application materials on December the 12th, 2022. That's right, all questions, fill-ins, and uploads will be published before the application opens on the RAC website in February. We hope this assists you in completing your applications in a timely manner for the deadline date and/or the optional pre-application deadline. The week of February the 13th, that application will open. Again, our grant-making system is Blackbaud. If you've not registered on Blackbaud and you are a first-time applicant, you will need to register in Blackbaud. Take a look at our website the week of December the 12th so you are able to get log-on credentials. Before moving on to the next point, I want to take time to point out 3 important items. Number 1, program support will once again have 4 tiers: $15,000, $10,000, $5,000, and $3,000. And again this year, program grants do not require matching funds, but we do encourage diverse revenue streams. And first-time applicants may apply for any tier of funding. Number 2, for artist support, applicants can request up to $5,000. Additionally, RAC is adding the option for artist ensembles or collectives, which means 2 or more artists with a project or who have a history of working together to apply for artist support. The applying member will be responsible for the management of the application and the grant if the grant is made. Number 3, also for artist support, artists will have the option to include a 90-second video in lieu of a written narrative. We hope you'll like these slight changes in our process. February the 20th is our pre-application deadline. Pre-applications are required for first-time program support applicants and optional for artist support and returning program support applicants. Those who submit a pre-application will receive feedback from the RAC grants team by March 17th. This will be better than if we bought you a green beer. On March 27th, 2023, is the deadline for the program support and artist support applications. It's all grant-making system, Blackbaud portal all the time. No excuses or exceptions for late applications. No saying the dog ate your application, no slipping the application under RAC's door. And I'd wish you good luck if you could slip anything underneath that door. In April and May will be application review. Like last year, applications will be reviewed, and for program support, meetings will be conducted only when a large variance occurs in review scoring. And then grant announcements and payments will be made in June and July. That means we all made it, and we'll start again for next year. All of this information will be outlined more fully on the grants page of the RAC website. That's www.racstl.org, the week of December the 12th. And also in the application guidelines and in the application questions. You'll find great information in those materials when we publish them. Please don't hesitate to contact Chloe, Lee, or me at RAC with grant application questions. In the words of the inimitable James Baldwin, artists, if they are to survive, tell the whole story. We are here, RAC is here, to assist you as artists and arts organizations to survive, strive, and tell the whole story. Thank you. I'm passing it back to Vanessa.
Thank you, Anne. In the coming weeks, you will receive more communications from RAC, including a special President and CEO report as I celebrate my second anniversary with RAC on November the 2nd. The commission will hold its annual meeting in November to elect new officers and approve the 2023 budget and work plan. I am excited to work alongside our intended incoming chair, St. Louis County appointed Commissioner Andrea Purnell. She is a longtime member of the commission, an outstanding artist, arts advocate, and senior leader at the St. Louis Art Museum. The career opportunities on our page on our website is going to have lots of updates over the next several months as we continue to rebuild our team with a Vice President of Finance and Operations, Vice President of Growth and Development, Director of Research and Evaluation, and ARPA Grants Administrator. We hope you will help us spread the word about these great opportunities to join an amazing team. As I close, I want to invite you to take action on a few things. Number one, please thank your local elected official. If you live or work in St. Louis City, thank your mayor and alderperson for passing Bill number 66. If you live or work in St. Louis County, please encourage your council member to pass Bill number 163 next week. Number two, please help us connect with artists and arts organizations. It is very important that all artists and arts organizations in St. Louis City and St. Louis County have awareness of and access to opportunities to apply for RAC's grants in 2023. Our primary means of communication will be our e-newsletter and social media. As you are talking with your colleagues, family members, and friends, please make sure they are connected to RAC because we want as many people as possible to benefit from our grant making. Number three, CAT is back. Please nominate or encourage a community leader in your life to apply for the CAT program. The Community Arts Training Institute is one of the top cross-sector leadership programs in the region. We have more than 400 CAT alum doing great things across the globe. And now, after a 3-year hiatus, CAT applications will open on November the 11th, and the first session will be held in February. More details will be available on our website soon. And number four, As we enter the holiday season, consider gifting art to your friends and loved ones. In addition to a pair of socks, how about a pair of season tickets, an annual pass, a membership, or custom artwork? We have over 700 nonprofit organizations and tons more artists in St. Louis City and St. Louis County that would love your support. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jay for our Q&A.
All right, everyone. We got some really great questions. We've been answering them along the way, but I do want to make sure that everyone has seen them. So one of the questions we had a couple of questions about, will there be artist fellowships in 2023? Anne, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Thank you, Jay. We will not have artist fellowships in 2023. We're trying to build our coffers back up. We need to get additional revenue before we can reinstitute the artist fellowships. But stay tuned. We're hoping that in the next few years, that next couple of years, right, Vanessa, that we will be able to do that, because we know those fellowships are so important to the work that you do, and that helps our community thrive.
All right, here's a question from Mia. As an artist, let's say I'm submitting next year to receive a RAC grant for my project. If my project has a fiscal sponsor, like a nonprofit that's allowing them to use their 501c3 status to receive funding, would she still qualify for a RAC grant?
Sure, I will answer that one. Thank you for the question, Mia. You will not need to have a fiscal sponsor if you apply for an artist support grant. If you plan to at all, and those grants are up to $5,000. If you apply for a program support grant, you may have a fiscal sponsor, and then you would be looked at like an organization. I hope that answers your question. And if it does not, please reply in the chat or with another question.
I'd like to tag on to that. One of the things that makes RAC unique is that we, of the 5 major arts funders in our region, RAC is the only one that can write checks to humans. So we do have grants that go directly to working artists and artists, directly to the individual, versus needing to go through a 501c3 and or fiscal sponsor. So our artist support grants are grants that go directly to the individual.
Here's a question from Stephanie. If you received an artist support grant this year, are you eligible to apply for another in spring of 2023?
Anne, do you want to take that? Or
Yeah, Jay, will you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. This is from Stephanie. If you received an artist support grant this year, are you eligible to apply for another in spring 2023?
Absolutely. Please come back. And we wish you as much success as you had last year.
That's right.
Kathy is asking, and I can answer this one. Do you have anything prepared that we can share on social media about the passage of Bill 66? Obviously, we're very excited about this. We don't at the moment, because we are diligently working with our wonderful friends in the mayor's office, and we will be releasing some information soon about the big announcement to the community. So while we appreciate your enthusiasm, Kathy, as we are excited as well, we will be releasing some information to our grantees and the community very soon.
And feel free to tag and spread. November 1st is the press conference, so we invite you to watch live.
We had a request to expand on the CAT program a little bit, just to kind of get an overview of what's that all about.
Sure, I'm happy to talk about the CAT Institute, the Community Arts Training Institute, which was started in 1997 and was interrupted when the pandemic happened a couple of years ago. The Community Arts Training Institute is it's competitive to get in. It is a cohort of 16 fellows, and that training starts in February and will run through June of 2023. It is essentially training for artists, social service agencies, community builders and community organizers to learn to put art in other places. And it's a wonderful training institute, and we hope that you'll look out for more information about it. We will be opening up that application on November the 11th, and we're very excited about it.
Here's one for Rachel, from Rachel. Can you serve as a grant reviewer and also apply for a grant? So we'll answer that one first. And then she asked, what does serving as a grant reviewer entail?
It means that you have to spend the rest of your life reading grant applications. No, I'm kidding, Rachel. Actually, I'll answer your first question. And that is, yes, you may serve as a grant reviewer and also apply for a grant. You might be, if you're an individual artist, you might then become a reviewer for the artist support, or vice versa. And what does that entail? It means that you will be assigned anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 applications. It depends on how many we get, and that you will review them in an unbiased manner, using everything that you know about, and score those applications. And in program support, it could mean the convening of a meeting. I am hesitant to say how much time it would take. So we'll be doing that part of it in April and May. So it's a pretty heavy lift for you to read all of the applications and then to score them. But it's a very satisfying and gratifying experience as well. We will be doing training, in-depth training for that won't take a whole lot of time after the first of the year. I can't remember when we decided to do that exactly, but we welcome you to be a reviewer, and we really invite everyone to talk to us about being reviewers.
And I will tag on to Ann's answer that the review process is online. So you will be assigned grants through our grant-making portal, Blackbaud, and you can review those grants at home, anywhere you like. The entire process is online. And if you participate in a convening meeting where grants are being reviewed, that process will be online. For those of you who've been with RAC for quite some time, you'll remember that we used to host those meetings in person, but now, due to the pandemic and our need to be more efficient, the entire grant review process is online and virtual.
We had a few questions, one from St. Charles, one from the Metro East, if they are able to apply for grants.
Unfortunately, no. RAC is chartered by the state of Missouri to serve St. Louis City and St. Louis County. So the hotel motel sales tax that we receive are from hotels in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. Does not prevent you from collaborating with arts organizations in St. Louis City and St. Louis County on various programs or projects, but the application must come from organizations that are addressed in St. Louis City or St. Louis County. One thing I will also note is that the ARPA funds that are received from St. Louis City must be distributed to artists and arts organizations whose primary address, are in St. Louis City. The ARPA funds that we receive from St. Louis County must be distributed to artists and arts organizations whose primary address is in St. Louis County. We know that the work that you all do impacts our entire region, and we want you to continue to do that. But the guidance and requirements for these funds are for addresses in the city and the county.
This question says, am I correct in assuming that organizations both in St. Louis City and county will be able to apply for the new ARPA funds?
Yes. So we have quite a bit of work to do. Now that the legislation has been passed in the city, we will be working with the Community Development Agency, the CDA, to be in a contractual relationship with them to receive and distribute the funds. If you read Bill number 66, it's nearly 40 pages. And so there are a lot of requirements that RAC has to meet in order to distribute the funds. And so we will work very closely with our elected officials and our colleagues in the city to ensure that when you apply for ARPA funds, that it is in alignment with what is required in that legislation. So that's why we'll have a separate process, a separate set of communications, because the requirements of that grant are significantly different than hotel motel. But yes, money from the city must be spent in the city, money from the county must be spent in the county. And we're still working through the details on that, and we'll share as soon as we have them. And especially as soon as the money is in the bank account.
Similar note, the difference in funding amounts of ARPA funds from the city and county, does that mean that funding will be much more competitive for county organizations than for city organizations because of the difference in funding?
The answer right now is not sure yet. Now, from a sheer numbers perspective, yes, $1.6 million has been allocated in the county. $10.6 million has been allocated in the city. We know that those dollars have to be spent in their respective jurisdictions. How they're distributed will be different because the requirements and the legislation reads differently, but the city received significantly more ARPA funds than the county. The city received over 500 million and the county received just under $200 million. So there is a significant difference just because the source of the funds were different as well.
We have a question. Is there equity training that grant reviewers are required to participate in?
Not yet, but there will be. We will be, as we formulate that training and as we talk with you about it, it will definitely be through that DEI lens. But right now, there is not a requirement for that training. Look for that in the future.
Could you quickly explain the difference between a program grant and an artist support grant?
Sure. A program support grant comes from an organization that has a 501c3 status, and an artist support grant goes directly to an artist.
One additional thing that I'll note that we're excited about continuing this year are program support grants. Organizations whose mission may not be arts fully, but who have arts programs are welcome to apply. That was something that we had done historically. We had to stop doing that during the pandemic because we wanted to prioritize arts organizations. But beginning last year, we did invite non-arts organizations who have an arts program to apply for program grants. That will be the same again this year.
As an arts organization, can we apply for both a program support grant and also a general operating support grant?
No. The general operating support grants is a fixed cohort right now, and they are the general operating support grantees from 2019 that had a multi-year grant made to them at that point. So there will be no new general operating support applicants or grantees for 2023. You'll only be able to apply for program support.
Will there be a way to set up an individual appointment with someone at RAC to discuss possibilities of grants or funding for a new arts organization?
Only if you take us out for an expensive dinner and drinks. No, I'm kidding. Of course, yes. Just get in touch with us and we'd be happy to meet with you.
And again, a very easy email to remember, grants@racstl.org. Please, reach out to us anytime. We are here to help you. Catherine asked, is the CAT program a volunteer situation or does it come with some sort of stipend?
Well, I wouldn't call it a volunteer program because you're receiving very valuable training. And we think it's very rigorous as well. Now, what we are instituting for the first time in 2023 will be when you are accepted into that cohort of 16, you will work with a couple of other CAT fellows and on a project, and there will be a pool of money that is available to those CAT fellows to do a project in 2023.
One thing I'd like to add is we think of the CAT in the same way that we think of Leadership St. Louis. And while Leadership St. Louis has a tuition, the CAT program is currently tuition free. And so think of it as the same type of professional development and leadership training that we have been fortunate enough to offer tuition free at this point. And so while there is not a cost to the participants, they are receiving significant professional development. And as Ann stated, there will be grant dollars available to fund projects that are initiated by this cohort.
A follow-up question from Mia, or from earlier. She had asked originally if she currently has a fiscal sponsor, so she's wondering what type of a grant she should apply for. So she has a fiscal sponsor already. So should she apply for program support grant or the artist support grant?
I think depending on the project, it may make sense. My recommendation for Mia is please send an email to grants@racstl.com, and Chloe, Lee, or Ann would be happy to talk to you one-on-one about your situation and help you apply for the grant that's best for you.
Do the arts organizations have to be nonprofit, or can they be an LLC?
They must be nonprofit with a 501c3 status.
Righty, looking through lots of great questions. Thank you, everyone. Can you use the grants, any grants, to travel abroad and do research for your works?
Yes.
Yeah, our criteria is based in 3 categories, which we'll share more details in. If you have specific questions about your project, my recommendation is please send an email to grants@racstl.org. We want to be able to help you identify which of the 2 programs, be it artist support and or program support grants, is best for you, and understand your project as a whole. We will ask for a project budget to ensure that the funds that you receive are stewarded properly. So please send us specific questions to grants@racstl.org. We're happy to have one-on-one conversations.
From Adam, I noticed on the RAC website that money received through the artist support grants are not allowed to be used for commissions. I just wanted some clarification on what is exactly a commission and what is not. For example, would using the grant to rent a local venue for an event considered a commission?
I would venture to say that if you are receiving a commission, you already have the money you need to do that specific project. It sounds like another situation where you need to email us at the grants@ email so that we can get a little bit more clarification about your idea, your project.
One of the things that I'll add is that each year we work to improve our process, improve our guidance, our instructions, our eligibility criteria. And all of these improvements are based on your feedback. And so for those of you that were able to apply for grants last year, we sent out a survey right after the application process and asked you for your feedback. Something that RAC is committed to is making sure that we keep the end user, the beneficiary of our work, at the center of how we design our process and do our work. And so part of our hesitation in answering some of these specific questions is that we're still working through our eligibility criteria, our questions, and all of that will be published on December the 12th. We're working to make sure that it's very clear. And so please send us these questions because we are finishing up the design process and want to be able to incorporate these questions and feedback into what we publish on December the 12th.
Can more than one project at a time be submitted for review?
I would say that I'm a little unclear about your question. If you're an organization, I would say that you have more than one project that would be in the same application. And the same would go, if you have a question about, if you have two separate things, if you're an individual artist that you're weighing, you could potentially include those both in the same application as well. Again, I would urge you to contact us at the grants@racstl.org to receive more clarification.
All righty. Looking through some more. Someone asked, how do we apply to become a reviewer?
We will have that information online very, very soon. But if you're interested, I would urge you to send us an email at the grants@ email address, please.
And we'll be communicating a call for grant reviewers through our e-newsletter. And so all of you hopefully have received your invitation to this town hall through our e-newsletter, and certainly our partners at VLAA, Volunteer Lawyers and Accountants for the Arts, do a wonderful job of letting people know when we host these town halls. So our social media channels, as well as our website and our e-newsletter, will be communicating and have a link to apply for or register for the grant review process.
Brad wants to know, will there ever be new grantees offered for GOS grants?
Yes, I believe so. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this, Vanessa, but we are strongly considering for 2024 unrestricted funding for all, which would mean that you could use that money for general operating support or project support.
For all arts organizations, I'll
For
tag
all.
that on.
Yeah.
For
Thank you.
Correct, that we really are being very thoughtful about how RAC can best support arts organizations and artists in this community. And we have listened carefully through one-on-one conversations, focus groups, and just being in community with artists and arts organizations. And we know the value of unrestricted funds. And so we are working with our commissioners, our grants committee, to move to a unrestricted funds for all arts organizations and artists in 2024. We will get a lot of key learnings from the ARPA funds and how they are distributed. Some will be for advancing the priorities of the communities as well as revenue replacement. And so we really want to be able to take those learnings and apply them to our traditional grant making forms. The other thing that is important to note about ARPA funds is that RAC will be responsible for distributing the funds by the end of 2024, and the recipient of those funds must have them spent by the end of 2026. So again, very different criteria. The goal is to help with our recovery efforts, and we want to be able to learn from this experience and apply that to our more long-term grant making that is done from our hotel motel sales tax revenue.
I have a question that I get to answer that I'm very excited about. Someone asked, where can we get those incredible I Love St. Louis Arts t-shirts? We have them right on our front page of our website. You have a direct link to STL Style House, which is on Cherokee Street. They partnered with us on this t-shirt, and those will help directly fund artists and arts organizations here in the St. Louis region. So great question, and get them before they're gone, because they are limited edition.
And I'm so glad that you asked that question, because one of the things that we have been focused on over the last several years is ways for RAC to diversify its revenue. So we're experimenting with different things. We do not want to be competitive with our grantees in terms of how we do our fundraising and develop new sources of revenue. But we know that we can't just depend on hotel motel sales tax. The recovery for those funds continues to be slow. Not sure if we'll ever get back to 2019 levels. And so we were thankful to be able to partner with STL Style House in designing these shirts, and the proceeds from the shirts will support grant making for artists. So unique ways that we're looking to diversify our revenue, and you'll see more of that over time from RAC.
Here's a good question. Will the ARPA funds be available for non-arts organizations that have an arts program, or is it only for arts organizations?
Not sure yet. Not sure yet, but we will be sure to communicate very clearly which organizations and individuals are eligible.
Another question, if the project happens in June, will we still be eligible for funds through, I would assume, program support grant or artist support grant, considering that the granting itself doesn't happen until June or July?
Yes, thanks for that question. The timeline for the grants, your programs have to occur between June 1st of 2023, July 1st, 2023, sorry, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
All righty. Just a general question about how we plan to use ARPA funds kind of specifically.
I highly recommend, not only because it's important for us to be good stewards, but civically engaged. I do highly recommend that you read Bill number 66 and Bill number 163, because we are the residents who have encouraged our elected officials to support this. But ARPA funds are designed for two purposes. One, economic recovery from the impacts of COVID-19, and two, economic advancement for a particular municipality. And so there are several restrictions and requirements that the federal government who are sourcing these funds have placed on the use of funds. And so we are working both with the city and the county to understand how the funds will be distributed, either for the purpose of economic recovery or economic advancement.
Just a reminder to everyone, if you came in late, we are recording this, so we will be posting it on our YouTube channel. We'll put it on the website as well, along with all the questions that were asked today and their answers. That may take a little bit longer for some of the ones we didn't get to, and for us to give you a little bit more of a longer answer perhaps, or some more clarification. So just for anyone that came in late, we did record this. We will be posting it. So don't worry if you missed anything. We will certainly get this out there, for you to have. So no worry on that. All right, looking at some other ones that some of them I have been answering just in the chat. As we can. So again, we'll make all of those available for everyone to see. But thank you, everyone. Let's see. All right, here's one. If you have already received a grant for June 2022, what will be the date projected for the reward to be received?
We, for the 2022 cycle, so RAC's fiscal year is also aligned with the calendar year. So our fiscal year starts on January 1st and ends on December the 31st. For the first time in a very long time, we opened up the application process in February of this year. We reviewed the grants, we announced the grants in June of this year, and we actually paid them in July. So if you have not received payment, please send an email to grants@racstl.org. We are very sure that all the payments were made and distributed and received. Now, in February 2023, when the 2023 application opens, we are on the same timeline. So the application will open in February. They will be reviewed in April and May. we will make the announcement in June and we will pay them in July. So for those who've been with us for a long time, you may recall that our entire grant process from application to final payment was 21 months. We have gotten that down to 6 months. You apply in February, you get paid in July. And so we know that that is useful both from a financial perspective for RAC, but it is also very helpful to our artists and arts organizations. And we do pay those grants in full. We do not make quarterly payments anymore. You apply, you get paid in full in July.
Someone asked about the review process and about appeals and how they are able to defend their application. Anne, can you explain that process just a little bit?
Sure. If you make an appeal, it means that you have to have material evidence that something was not, that the review panel did not look at your application according to the published criteria. And if you make that and we find that that is so, then we will reconvene the panel that met around your application. And this is for program support only, not artist support grants. So we'll reconvene that panel and we will take into consideration, we will talk about that, and then a final decision will be made.
And just for context, we have less than 0.5% appeals process. Last year, there were very few of the total number of applications, very few were actually appealed. And part of the reason is that we are very diligent in the training of our grant reviewers, but also we are very clear in the eligibility and the criteria for the grant application. So yes, we do make appeals available, but it is rarely used because we try to ensure that the process is clear, efficient, effective, and fair to prevent those from needing to be the case.
And I did want to tag on to that because we did have a question as well about any sort of training or workshops that we may be providing to our applicants and to our future grantees. I can simply say yes on that one. We will be communicating those as we get near to the application being open for artist support grants and program support grants. So please be sure to follow us on social media. On Facebook and on Instagram is where we are most active. And continue to check our website at racstl.org. Also, sign up for our e-newsletter. If you go to the RAC website, you'll see a little pop-up and it'll ask you just your name, your last name, your email address, and you can get our RAC e-newsletter, which we send out monthly, sometimes bi-monthly, with all the important information, happenings in St. Louis, things we think people need to know. So we will be pushing out all that information when the time comes on those platforms. Oh, someone asked an interesting question. For funding in general, is it more competitive in the city or the county?
Actually, that's a hard question to answer because we have a number of arts organizations and artists in the city and the county. What I can say is that RAC, particularly last year, was very intentional about ensuring that dollars were distributed to every county council district and every city ward. So the good news about St. Louis, we are an arts town and we have art happening across the entire region, and RAC is proud to support art happening all over the region. So we are very intentional to ensure that our dollars and our grants are distributed across all of St. Louis City and St. Louis County.
Someone would like to know if live reviews will happen at any point.
Not sure yet. We're 1 year at a time. Things happen and change so fast in our environment. We know that COVID is still real and we want to keep people safe, but we don't want to wait to do our work. And so right now we are hosting our reviews virtually, and maybe at some point we'll be able to have those in person, but right now for 2023 they will be virtual.
Someone had another question about fiscal sponsorship. I think there's some confusion about fiscal sponsorship, about what is needed Can it help with an application if you have fiscal sponsorship? I think it seems like some people are worried they definitely need that fiscal sponsorship to be considered. So, Anne, could you just again address that a little bit?
Sure. Fiscal sponsorship happens typically, I would say we see them usually when there's a pilot project. There's an idea for that a person or a group of people may have for a whole project, and it's pretty involved. But they don't have a 501c3. So they will find a fiscal sponsor that can sign off on the grant application, and where that money is funneled through that fiscal sponsor. Typically, there's a small percentage of money that goes to that fiscal sponsor, and then we are able to review your program in the program support category. It is not a requirement. If you're thinking about that, I urge you to get in touch with us at the grants@racstl.org to talk with us to see if it would be better for you to come through an artist support grant or through that program support grant. So just get in touch with us. There is additional information. I think you'll find a very good handbook on the Volunteer Lawyers and Accountants for the Arts website that talks about fiscal sponsorship, as well as the organization Creative Capital out of New York City.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I want to acknowledge is that I really appreciate these questions. In 2022, our last grant cycle, 40% of our artist support applications were for first-time artists, were first-time grantees. And so that demonstrates that RAC is doing a good job of reaching out and bringing new folks to the table and ensuring that they have opportunities to apply. So we certainly appreciate and welcome your questions. We're patient with your questions. This helps us to understand where we need to add more information to our FAQ section, more detailed information in our training and our technical assistance. And so being mindful of time, we won't take any more questions. It looks like we've covered all of them, but just know that we appreciate them and we welcome both artists and arts organizations who are here for the first time engaging with RAC and looking for support.
Great. Thank you, everyone who came in today and asked questions. I think this has been a really wonderful conversation between our wonderful community and the Regional Arts Commission. If you do have more questions that were not answered today, again, give us an email, grants@racstl.org. We are more than happy to talk with you, meet with you. We want you to be successful. And in order to do that, we need to work with you in a lot of cases, and we are happy to do that. So again, if you have any more questions, please let us know. Thank you everyone for coming today. And again, this will be posted on our website, hopefully by the end of the day, if not definitely tomorrow. We also want to thank our wonderful interpreter for being here today. Thank you so much. Giving me a big thumbs up. All right. Thank you again, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.